Joshua Project.
The Joshua Project. Yeah, look, I think it's called the Joshua Project 2000 maybe.
If you Google Joshua Project.
Yeah, you'll get it. You'll get it. And that gives you all the facts and figures. But certainly as WEC, for the people that we're responsible for, we have leaflets about all the different countries that we work in, and information about individual people groups would be available if people are interested. But it is slightly tricky because it's so big and diverse.
It is. And so you can get prayer updates from the website, can you?
Yes, you can.
Yes, yeah. What's your website address?
www.wec-int.org. WEC.org.
-int.org.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll make sure that goes to the office, as I do afterwards tomorrow, and so that folks could be. You've got prayer update and you've got information there. If you feel your church should be praying, get hold of that information, pass it on to your prayer coordinator or your pastor or whoever, and make sure you start praying for some of these groups. We're joined now by Jane from London. Hi, Jane.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
All right, thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Basically, what it is, I wanted to actually ask, because my grandmother was an American Indian.
Right.
Basically, I was just wondering what was happening to those sort of tribes, you know, and what we can actually do about it.
You're putting Andrew...
They were actually, I was told they were actually more Christian than Christians, but...
Do you know anything specifically about American Indian tribes?
Just that they were a very...
Sorry, I was asking Andrew if he can... Sorry, it's all right, Jay. Sorry. I should have said. My apologies.
Not a lot, but a few years ago I went and visited a ministry in New Mexico that distributes the New Testament on cassette, particularly. I guess it's on CD now. But they were concerned, and there are certainly missionary societies in America that are oriented to reaching North American native groups.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that's certainly happening.
Sorry, yes, Karen Jane.
Is there any way I could actually help as well? Because I know there's prayer and I know, you know, but I want to know if I can, I feel it's been, you know, pulling at me a little bit.
Right. It's interesting because, and there's practical point I wanted to bring up, and because I mentioned this email, somebody that's feeling I should be doing something. You know, I just sense, you know, that's where it is. What should Jane do? What should people do, Andrew?
I think first of all for Jane, I think there's something called the Native American Mission, which it might be worth your looking up on the internet. I would say one of the first things to do is get hold of a copy of Operation World. A new edition will be published hopefully by the end of next year, although that's slightly in doubt. But
some libraries have the past copies actually.
Yes, or your church may have a copy.
Yes.
Yes.
That's certainly very well worth doing.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, I think they do actually need it because my grandmother was Christian herself.
Right.
But she said a lot of them don't.
Yes.
No, that's right.
And it's such a shame because, you know, they're such a spiritual people anyway.
They do. They're into spirit.
Yeah.
We actually had some friends. He went to be with the Lord back last year, but they were actually working amongst the indigenous people in Canada. Slightly different, but it's the same. And they would go and live on the reservations and share with them and minister to them and pray with them. I'm sure there are such things going on. I say if you do check up the Native Mission Organization and if you need any further help, if you get through to the office, they'll pass on my information to you. I will happily see if I can find out more for you as well, that you can take it a step further.
Yeah, because she was actually from Massachusetts, that sort of area, and I did actually meet her father. You know.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, it's been pulling on me for a long time to do something, and as usual I've been disobedient.
Well, I'm glad we stirred you up today. It's all been worth it if you get stirred up today. But what I would say is certainly obviously continue to pray over it. Begin to seek out. Operation World has got a lot of information in. You'll find other books that have information in. Find out mission societies that may deal with that area, and there probably are some American missionary societies that deal with that area, and get information from them, seek God as to what the next step is for you, and it may be to visit, it may be to pray, whatever it may be from that point of view, and let God do it for you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for a great program.
Well,
okay, thank you.
Thank you. One of the things I'd just like to add as well is that that's a very interesting example. Massachusetts is a state in the US which is filled with churches, but we're talking here about a group which is not within the mainstream. And again, throughout our country and in many countries, there are groups that are not mainstream, and that's where we need cross-cultural mission. People who will learn a different culture. May not be, it might be, it may not be, in your case, a matter of a different language, but understanding where people are coming from in order to communicate the gospel in a way that's relevant.
Yeah, very important.
Go on from there to this book, Unafraid of the Sacred Forest, was written by Ronaldo Lidorio, who's the anthropologist I mentioned, who's in Brazil. And it's a wonderful story because he went in amongst a people group in northeastern Ghana, learnt what their culture was, got to understand it properly so that he could then begin to communicate the gospel in a way that meant something to them. And when you get to the point where the penny drops, and when you understand that the traditional African religion in which they were steeped, once you've read the first few pages of this, you think, when the gospel comes, it is so liberating. Jesus has set us free from the need to appease the ancestors and all the rest of it. It's just great.
So Jane, encourage you to do that, and if you need any further help, and if anybody also wants any of the details that Andrew has mentioned, a whole waft of facts and figures and things here, do get through to the office, get hold of my details from there, and we'll make sure that it's passed on, and any information you need will be given to you. So
thank you very much.
Bless you, Jane. Thanks a lot. The Lord lead you into what you should do.
Bye.
Okay, bye now. I don't know what Andrew feels this, but I always feel this, that, so often these days we go in, have the big meeting and go out, and the evangelist leaves town and there's nothing. We do need that coordination of what happens afterwards, and that is important, isn't it, Andrew? Yeah,
absolutely. That's why WEC is particularly committed to long-term mission, where people learn culture, learn language, live as a person amongst the people that they've been sent to, and see a church come into being. And it's not an easy thing. As I said earlier about the Koreans, I mean, they pay a big price just to learn English, let alone any other language. But to do it properly, it does demand an enormous investment of time and effort and love, above all. Maybe I can bring this email in. I think in a way we've dealt with some of it, but I think it would be good to maybe personalise a little bit. It's from Bernadette. She says, hello Doug, and good afternoon to your guests. Some advice please. I was brought up a Catholic and my husband was C of E. Although I was a regular churchgoer, it wasn't until 3 years ago that we were born again and were rebaptised in the River Jordan and our eyes opened to the truth. Since then, we have both grown considerably in knowledge and we study the Bible together. We have lost friends because of our newfound beliefs. Understand that, so to speak, which is to be expected. But this has been replaced with a sense of awe in what changes God has brought about in our lives. In conclusion, and to be brief, my husband over the last months believed that he is being called to Nazareth and has no idea of why or what to do about it. Neither do I. We have waited for discernment as to whether this is flight of fancy or a genuine calling. What do we do? Where do we look? Help, please. God bless.